This video talks about the turn editing on and off button that the teacher has access to within Moodle. So right now I'm in non-editing mode. You will see what the students see for the most part. Because you're a teacher, you have some other options here as far as your administration block and so forth. One little trick, a side note that you can do as a teacher to see what the students are going to see is you can always go under your administration block to switch role to, and you can say switch my role to student, and when you do that, then you'll see exactly what the students would see. So whatever blocks they have access to, that's what you would see on their behalf. You see they do have access to the administration block, but it's a very limited administration block. And actually, even this option here is only there because I'm logged in as a teacher and have switched my role. It gives me the opportunity to switch back to my normal role. But if you're ever wondering what it is that the students see compared to you, things that are hidden versus not hidden and that kind of stuff, that's a quick way you can do it. So I'm going to just say return to my normal role, and then back to the reason for this video, and that's the turn editing on button. This button is required not only to make changes like we saw earlier to the blocks, but also it's how you're going to actually build the content of the main body of your course. So I'm going to click that button. You'll see it toggle, so it says turn editing off now. And you'll see that I have a whole series of little tools or icons next to each one of the resources and activities within my Moodle course. We saw earlier that we also see some additional things in the blocks. So notice that as you look at these are almost all identical between the various items in the Moodle course. There's a couple of exceptions to that. For example, this one has the little extra person, whereas these two don't. But for the most part, otherwise, they're all identical to each other. So I'm going to cover these various icons briefly, especially the ones that you'll use very commonly. So the first one that's not always there is basically just a tab like you'd have on the keyboard. So if I want this particular item to be shifted over to the right a little bit, I can hit that, and it's just an alignment issue. So I can hit it as many times as I want, really, and I can also shift it back. So this is if you've got a whole series of things in the list and certain things are sort of sub-items of other things, you may want to have those sub-items indented a little bit to make it easier to follow with your eye to know what matches up with what. The next icon is the move, four directional, and notice my mouse also changes the four directional arrow when I'm over top of that. So if I want this thing that says this is a label to be below this thing that says this is a URL, I can just simply drag and drop it. And again, you may experience slight differences between web browsers as far as how well that works. I can also move things between topic boxes. So if I want this URL to be down here in topic box 2, I can drag it down to that or even further. Okay, so I'll bring it back. The next item is the little cog, which is to update that particular item. This is where you'll be able to set up what it's called, what the settings are, what web page it goes to in the case of a URL. Lots of other features under there that we will get into more in detail on each one of the individual activities and resources later on in the Moodle course. The next one is duplicate or copy. So if I simply hit that, it gives me a confirmation. I'll say continue, and then after a second I'll have an exact duplicate of the item that I had told it to copy. And then typically I would go into my update, change the name, change the address, those types of things. So if you've got several things that are very similar to each other, maybe just the address is a little bit different, that's a quick way of making a bunch of copies. The next item is delete. So if I don't want this copy anymore, I can simply click on the X. Are you sure you want to delete? If I say OK, it's out of there. The next one is show hide. It looks like a little eye, and for you as the teacher, the only difference you'll notice when you click on that is that it becomes gray. So if I hit that, you notice that it's not quite as bright as it was before. I'll do the same thing to this one. I went from black to like a gray color. Anything you see like that as a teacher means that the students will not see that item. So you could get a quiz ready for them, for example, and then click on that that button and the quiz would not appear to them until you turned it on. All that they have to do as a student, if they're logged in, is hit the F5 key on the keyboard or hit the refresh button on their web browser. That's what the F5 key does, and that item would immediately show up for them. If I want it back, I just simply click on the same icon and it is now unhidden. The last item there is assign roles. That's something that you very rarely ever do. And on certain items like forums, that is where if you have groups set up within your course, you can assign that particular item to a particular group. Okay, so that's what the different editing tools are when you're in turn editing on mode. A couple other things to make note of as far as the topic box itself is concerned. If I wanted topic 1 to be completely hidden from the students, I could hide that entire topic, and notice everything inside of it will immediately go gray. I'll turn that back off, and let me just say I don't want topic, say 2, 3, and 4 to be shown, since there's really nothing in them anyway. If I now go down here to switch role 2 and say student, you'll notice that they now see topic 1, but it just says not available in the other 3. If I switch my role back to normal, I still, as the teacher, see that. It did turn editing off, so I've got to turn it back on again. And then when I'm ready, I could go ahead and turn those back on. So that can be very useful for you to get things that are for the future ready, but that you don't want to necessarily have the students see yet. It can also be very useful for you in your course to turn off topic boxes that have long since passed their usefulness. Maybe you're into the 6th week of the course and you don't want the students to have to look at all of the content from weeks 1 through 3. So you could quickly hide each of those. The little light bulb is an indication to the students that that is the current topic. So all that does is it just changes the color of the sidebars, and that can be toggled on and off. Again, if you have a lot of topics in your course, it makes it quick and easy for the students to find where they need to be for that particular moment in time. So those are the main things that you need to know about as far as the editing features within Moodle. When you're all done, just say turn editing off, and it'll go back to the more typical view.